What is up, everyone? Long time no see. It has been a while since I have actually done a live stream, and a ton of things have been going on. The most exciting and the one that we are here to talk about today is that my book, The City of Snow and Stars, is getting published. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about it, let alone wrapping my mind around the fact that my book is actually getting published. It's pretty crazy. I seriously, like, trying to wrap my mind around it is a little difficult. But I am super excited about it. My campaign has launched today. And so that is kind of what we're here to talk about. I'm here to talk a little bit about the campaign and some of the perks. If I can get the campaign page to actually show up, then my hope is to actually kind of show you guys some of the fun perks and stuff that I've built in to the into the campaign, and talking a little bit about what that looks like, what's going to be happening over the next month, in addition to answering any questions that you may have about the publishing process that I am currently in, and about the book. So I'm super excited. If you have any questions, please feel free to either comment over in the chat, because chat is open, or if you're catching this at a later point in time, feel free to comment down below. I'm going to be watching and answering questions throughout the day. So for those who are here during the stream, thank you so much and welcome. Super excited to have you here. Super excited to talk about this. To give you guys kind of a brief backstory, because it does go back quite a ways. I started writing the world that this book actually takes place in when I was 16. It was under a different name, which is now a different continent within the world. And I had started off writing Narnia, Lord of the Rings crossover fan fiction, but I wanted something that I was actually going to be able to publish. So this this dream has been something that has been about 14 years in the making. Since I was 16, this is what I've wanted to have happen and wanted to do. So kind of fast forward, a lot of replotting, a lot of just nothing happening. In January of 2019, I had injured my shoulder. I was on leave from work. I sat down and I pumped out the first draft of this book in 29 days. That was the most I'd ever written in one time. That's the most that I would like to ever say that I've written at one time. It fried me. Over the process of 2019 and more heavily in 2020, I started revising the second draft. Started writing the second draft. Over that time, I had actually been working with New Degree Press, and you guys, most of you probably have seen the interview that I did with Shanda Elaine about New Degree. I've done several interviews with former students of mine who were a part of the NDP process. I have their books back here, and I watched how they did this crowdsourcing campaign to raise the funds for their books to be published, and I loved it. That's why I bought their books. That's how I bought their books. I said, shut up and take my money. I want these books. And I'd been the editor on them, and I wanted them. So seeing that process, I believed in it, and I wanted that kind of experience not only as an author to have the support through the publishing process, but also to invite readers along with me on the publishing process, on the whole journey, from start to finish. Because I want to share everything with you guys. We as authors, this is what we live for. Like, we live to share our stuff with people. That's why we get it published. And so knowing, excuse me, the allergies where I live are just ridiculous. Just throwing that out there. Knowing that that's how I wanted to do it, and knowing that that's how NDP or New Degree Press kind of built their campaigns, I was like, let's do this. So back in the beginning of June, or actually, excuse me, the end of May, I reached out to Brian, who's the head of NDP, and was like, hey, I want to submit my book. How do I do that? He walked me through the whole process, submitted the book, and then had an excruciatingly long wait because, I mean, it's 80,000 words. The second draft ended up way bigger than I was anticipating. And he gets back and he's like, yeah, as long as you can get it done, then we're good to go. You're golden. I was like, oh my gosh, what? It was one thing to submit the book. It was an entirely another thing to get the email saying that you were greenlit for publishing. That just blew my mind. So dove in, and I got access to all the publishing stuff and checklists upon checklists upon checklists, and checklists for checklists of stuff that I needed to do, like finding 100 people that would be my kind of like initial wave of supporters. Then, kind of aim for 200 people over the course of the entire campaign. And so I just dove into trying to get all that stuff set up, trying to build the campaign page. I mean, there was a lot. Guys, let me tell you, like, there's a lot to publishing that I had no idea. And granted, this is very New Degree specific. But my marketing and revisions editor was just absolutely has been absolutely fantastic and a huge help in just kind of bouncing some of my ideas off of her, trying to just kind of get a good gauge for certain things. I've been reaching out to some of my other author friends, asking their input, and I'm really happy with how the campaign page and everything kind of turned out. The graphics, all that. It's just, I'm stoked. The more we get into it, the more excited I get about this process. So that kind of brings you guys up to date on kind of what led us and got us to this point. And I just launched my campaign like this morning. I got up at 6 a.m. West Coast time and immediately started revising some of the graphics, uploading those, building the email templates, prepping all of the freaking social media posts, making sure that I had everything ready for the live stream and talking with you guys. There was a lot. There's a lot that has gone into the launch of this campaign, and this is just the beginning. So about the campaign, to give you guys kind of an idea of what the heck it is that I'm actually doing. For some, they're going to immediately say, oh, this is a vanity press. It's not a vanity press. I can promise you that. Like, I've worked with them. They're not a vanity press. So essentially, like, how we get to here, and part of NDP's process is when you've submitted your book and the book has been accepted and greenlit for publishing, you make an initial deposit. It is refundable. So you make the initial deposit. I think it's like I think it was like 500 was the initial was the deposit, and that gets everything that you need to prep your campaign. The next thing that you do is you decide, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to do traditional marketing, or do I want to crowdsource? Think Kickstarter. Very similar concept. So everything for the campaign is on Indiegogo. So if you've ever been to Indiegogo, or if you're familiar with Kickstart, that is essentially kind of what this is. And you get special perks depending on the different payment tiers that you decide to do. And I had lots of fun with those too. It was awesome. So the tiers that I'm trying to hit, because each one gets me something different, can go in this order. So at $5,000, which I know sounds like a lot, but traditional publishers spend anywhere between 10 and 20,000. And I'm fundraising all of this. So you guys are getting stuff, and it covers the cost that I need for that. It covers their cost, which allows me to keep 100% of the ownership of my book, which was incredibly important to me. I really didn't want to part with like 85% or more of the book to get it published. So this, I get to retain 100% of the ownership rights to all of this. And that's Indie Piece model. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So 5,000, if I am able to fund that much, I get the paperback and ebook, which means that you guys, if you decide to support in this, you get a signed paperback copy. And then the digital ebook is, I can't really sign that. And I'll get into some of the other perks and stuff in a few minutes. But that's kind of the basis. The next tier up is if I raise $6,000, then I get the paperback, ebook, and hardback, which, I mean, I would love to have a hardback version of this book. I already have ideas for all of that, so it would be fantastic. And then my top tier goal in this is to raise $8,000, because if I raise the $8,000, I get all of the stuff I just mentioned plus audiobook. So I get to narrate and create my audiobook, which is a dream of mine, which is why it's my top goal that I'm shooting for. So I'm super excited about that. I have 30 days to fundraise everything that I need, fundraise the funds to get this. And so my goal is to get there, and I'm going to be working hard over the next month or so before I even get to revisions and stuff like that, to try and fundraise as much of this as I possibly can. Guys, I've built a vocal booth. You guys can't see it, but maybe I'll do like a video at some point. But it is a 5x6 by 7-ish vocal booth. And like, my father-in-law and I built it. I've already got the tech ready to go. I am literally ready to do this audiobook like today. I can't do it today because it's not published yet. So help me, help you, help me, kind of thing. Okay, so I want to take a minute just to kind of give you guys a rundown of the campaign. Maybe if it works. If it doesn't crash, because I know that it's had issues before. Let's see. Hopefully. Oh, yay. You guys are seeing it. So I made this graphic literally this morning. And I woke up so early to try and get this bust it out. Let's see. Is it showing full screen? Yeah, it is. Okay. So, oh yay. I've already had a few backers, which thank you to anyone who's watching the stream and you're part of that. Like, I appreciate it so much already. The fact that somebody's actually bought my books or my book is incredible to me. So it kind of goes into a little bit of detail about like why I wrote the book, which is really kind of the most important thing to me. So, just to kind of pull it up here. So one of the reasons, like it says, I wrote this book is as a Christian, I've been faced with hard questions that I didn't have answers for. Why does God let bad things happen? Why are people abused? What does it mean to follow God when everything is going wrong? These are questions that I've asked myself numerous times. For those who have gone through and watched my testimonial video, where I share my testimony and stuff, I talk about the abuse that I went through. I talk about a lot of the healing process. I talk about my addiction to pornography. And I've wrestled with these same questions of why does God let bad things happen? And this book explores that journey a little bit, in a, fantastical way. Which is why this book means so much to me, is that I know that there are people out there who have had these same questions, these same issues that have come up in their own life. And I want to be able to speak to those things. So to give you an idea of what it is, what the different tiers are. So the Alliance to Thaidu, I named all of these after kingdoms in the world and specifically on the continent that this story takes place on. And so all of them, so you're choosing an alliance. Each of the alliances have different perks. So the alliance to, or the allegiance to Thaidu is the digital copy. So it's just kind of your basic $15. You get to join the beta reader community. You will get to read my book early, give me feedback, help me select a cover. You get to help me select my cover. I don't have a cover yet. I don't even have the foggiest idea of what I'm going to do for a cover. You guys get to help me. And you get to stay up to date through the author community that I'm currently building. It's not done yet, but all of the backers will get access to that. And it will only be them until the book is actually published in December, which is December. Literally submitted my book in June. It's going to be published in December. Mind blown. And so you get to read like my author's note and like the reasons behind it. You get to beta read as much or as little of the book as you want. And you actually get your name in the book. So, which is the other cool thing, is that your name is actually going to be in my book within a special thanks to, and it's going to list out your name as one of the backers who supported me. So you get to say like, hey, well, presuming you get a signed copy, but like, yeah, see this? Yeah, I helped bring this to light. See that cover right there? See it? I helped. So, yeah, it's really fun. Hey, Chris, welcome. And thank you. So the next one, and this is just the mock-up. So it's just kind of like, this is what it could kind of look like on the cover of a book kind of thing. That's not the final cover. But I just got to say, like, I love the font. It's so nice. With the allegiance to Canamore, you have the signed paperback edition. You get to join the beta community, invite to my launch party, which at this point will probably be virtual. I mean, let's be honest here. And again, you kind of get the rest of the stuff, beta community, all that. This one is the one I'm excited about, guys. Like this one is life. This is life for me. You are reading that correctly, where there is going to be a full color map for this bad boy. And it will only be available for backers. Only them. Because I'm paying for it. So when you do this, you get a signed paperback and a signed full color map. And I'm not talking like little dinky map. I'm talking like 17 by 11. Like it's like a poster of the entire world, all of the continents, everything. That is what I'm most excited about. So that one is there. That one, I wanted maps. I begged them. I was like, can I please have a map? And they're like, yeah. I was like, maps. So I was so excited. Oh, hey, Lauren. What was your question? Let's see. I have so many questions about such a short marketing time frame between submission and publication. How much marketing? I guess I could just pull this up. How much marketing advertising is this publishing company helping you with? So great question. So exactly, Chris, maps. So it is a fairly short time frame. And so the main thing that we're working on is that the initial push comes over the next 30 days. So a lot of heavy marketing, all that kind of stuff. And I will be doing a lot of social media marketing. So first we'll go out to my backers, and then it will kind of be drip content over the course of the next couple of months. They have email templates. They have email sequence templates. They have how to reach out and what to do and when. And we actually have weekly, wow, drawing a blank, weekly publishing meetings. And so they walk you through, they have stages, different stages that they kind of walk you through this process of like, okay, you guys did the initial push. Great. This week, work on doing this, such as reaching out to Instagram influencers, seeing if they would be interested in supporting your book and getting a copy and doing all that kind of stuff. Reaching out to businesses. So they kind of have a step-by-step plan of how to walk you through the marketing of your book. And essentially they're teaching you how to publish your book as if it was your second time doing it. And so rather than kind of waiting until your book is published, which is the worst time, then they are they're helping you kind of build that following as you go and build up excitement. And then in the case that I get enough of the funding or the fundraising done, and if I hit that 6,000 or 8,000 tier mark, then by April of next year, I'll have my hardback and my audiobook published. So those will be ready to go. And so they're going to be doing a lot of helping me along the way with that. I mean, it's seriously, they hold your hand through the entire process. In some ways, I've needed less hand holding because of my business and doing SEO and videos, and I'm more comfortable kind of doing some of that stuff. But I'm still just like trying to absorb like a sponge, like all of the things to try and learn, because there's so much to learn. But it's been really exciting. Then there's the allegiance to Xephos. And so that's where you get two signed copies of the paperback and 2 of the color maps. So it's kind of like buy one and then you get one for your friend, is generally how it works. And yeah, that one was the same. And so basically from there on up, you're increasing the amount of books that you're getting. So Allegiance to the Ergid Empire gets you 5 books plus 5 maps. Allegiance to the Academy gets you 10 books and 10 maps. And then Champion of Wintonaith, which is like a super fan, essentially, is they get 25 paperbacks and 25 maps, a digital copy. They get everything else. They get a personal thank you note, and they get a book talk where basically I come and talk to them about the whole process of writing the book and all that good stuff. So I'm super excited about that. I don't know if I'll have a super fan, but seriously, if people just go and buy the maps, like I want to give you maps. That's where my heart is. Oh, speaking of which, yes, Lauren, they are essentially giving me a map on how to do it myself with the support of a editor. She's actually she is an author and a published author at that. So they give you all of the templates, the worksheets, the materials. They build a lot of that stuff for you. Some of which is stuff that I don't know if I will use because I want to brand it a certain way. And they're not going to take that amount of time because they're also working with, 180 some odd people at the same time. And so we're kind of in this batch together. And so us authors during the weekly meetings have a breakout session. We talk about marketing. We talk about email lists. We talk about just kind of like how to promote stuff in general. So in large part, they give you a step-by-step walkthrough plan on how to do it. And because it's all fundraised, if you choose to do that, they have a kind of a more traditional route with it. I don't know what that looks like because that's not the route that I chose, but essentially you kind of fund it yourself and then they do everything else. I liked doing it this way because I get the people excited with me. They get to join me in it. They get to be a part of the community, and they're going to get to beta read. Some of them will just be for chapters. Some, if they want, they can beta read the whole book. They get to vote on the cover, and then I'm doing like weekly updates and keeping them updated. More stuff will kind of be happening once I enter into the revisions stage. Right now it's more of just like, hey guys, like my book is going, help support, you're going to get all this cool stuff. And then when I start revisions in August, I'm going to have more to kind of fill people in on. So I'll be kind of filtering in chapters that I want and need a little bit more feedback on, because either the material might be a little bit more sensitive, or it's just, how does it land? Like, does this work? Does it feel right? So I hope that answered your question. If you have any more, please let me know. And so, yeah, that's kind of the basis of the perks and stuff. So this kind of goes into the different exclusive rewards and stuff like that. This is like, I will do a book topic workshop seminar where I share the experiences of writing my book. And that was me just mistyping. But yeah, so, audiobook and hardback is kind of what I'm shooting for. This section here kind of tells you everything that is going to be happening. So it's covering the layout, the copy editing, the cover design, the launch and the promotion, and all that kind of stuff. And then I got the excuse me. Then I got the summary. So for those who want to know a little bit more about like what the book is about, it's 1,000 years ago, the Airgid, known as the Silver Ones, ruled all the lands of Wintoneath under their empire until their empire crumbled into the dust. Now, one wants to reunite them. Gifted with the ability to perfectly duplicate herself and prophesy to destroy the world, Trinia finds herself on the run from her father, who wants to use her power to subdue their own people before launching a reign of terror on the surrounding kingdoms. Udar is a man outside his time and wants nothing more than to waste away in the shadows. With everything that he held dear gone, he wants nothing more to do with Elohai and blames him for what happened to his family. So when Trinia ends up in the pantry of his hut deep within the forest of Nex, he thinks it's a cruel joke. When the Queen of the Banshees comes calling, however, Udar and Trinia quickly realize there's more going on than they first believed. With death, pain, and hardship following Trinia with every step, she wrestles with the question of why a loving God would let her go through it all. Facing doubts at every turn and lacking any sort of guidance, she's left to find answers on her own with the weight of the world bearing down on her. And everyone has a breaking point. So that is kind of the book summary. The book blurb and stuff will probably be a little bit shorter than that, but it worked for the campaign. So yeah, that is there it is. There we go. All right. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm tackling some really difficult questions in this book. And I'm excited. I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from the people that I've shared the summary with, because I mean, really, it's just trying to capture a snapshot, specifically for the campaign. So it's it's still kind of like that work in progress, but I like it, gave it enough scope for everybody to kind of get a good feel for it. So I'm happy with it for now. But yeah, let's see. In and out of work, no worries. Glendiel, yes, you are very familiar with Udar and and all of the craziness that stems from him. I'll give you guys a little bit of backstory on Udar's character. So he is the main male character in the book, and he is based on the first original character that I ever created when I started writing my fan fiction. And so at the time, his name was Elendar, and that eventually I kind of switched up when I went back to writing fan fiction, and I renamed him Udar, which is actually Irish for author. And so some fun little Easter eggs in there for people who are familiar with the Irish language. And he's a very interesting character because he really is one to try and run from his issues, which reflect in my own life quite a bit. Not to mention that he has just gone through a lot. Those who have read the fan fiction stories with him in it from Wattpad, they understand what that is. But there's enough in this book that you really don't have to read everything else to understand all the crap that he's been through, because he's been through enough as it is just in this world. So, and then Trinia is the main female character. And so she's 16, and she is one of the Airgid, And so she's a part of the race that used to rule all the lands of Wintonaith. And it is hard for her when she leaves the city. So where she lives is the city of Snow and Stars. That's the name of the Airgid capital. When she goes on the run, that's kind of when, all of these things start happening. You see in the very first chapter her power of duplication. And it was fun for me to write. It was even more fun when some of my betas read through there and they were like, wait, what? That was so much fun to kind of mess with their brains. I'm sure that they didn't appreciate it, but I mean, I enjoyed it. And so her story and Udar's story are kind of the main things. Udar is not a teenager. He looks like he's 40-ish. I won't give you his exact age because I talk about it in the book. But he just loathes angsty teens. And he especially loathes the race of the Airgid. So I kind of took these two characters and threw them together. And especially in the second draft, the first draft, he was kind of more of like a father figure, which posed an incredible challenge when I decided to redo the entire thing and made him a cantankerous old geezer. Their relationship is fascinating, and a lot of there's a lot of dynamics there that I'm excited to kind of play around with a little bit, and we'll see kind of throughout the book and into book 2. This is book 1 of 3. I already have started planning a little bit for book 2. Book 3 is as of yet undetermined. There are a couple of aspects of what happens in book 2 that determine what happens in book 3, which is why I haven't I haven't really delved into that that far ahead. And in the grand scope of things, this is actually book 1 of 12. So in all, there will be 12 books that take place within this world. Each trilogy or each set will kind of be broken up into its own trilogy. So there will be 4 trilogies total. Each one kind of following a different set of characters and different things as we move towards the progression of book 12. So I already have a lot of it kind of mapped out in my head. Nothing's really mapped down in terms of like in a software or anything like that, but I have that grand vision for what it's all going to be. I actually already have draft 1 done for book 1 of the second and third trilogies. So those are already kind of done, and those are self-contained enough that a lot of what happens in this book doesn't carry over drastically, but you see the threads that are kind of interwoven. This story, this series is going to span like several centuries, if not a millennia, when it's all said and done. So it's going to be long, and there's going to be a lot to it, a lot of different elements that I'm super excited about. Yeah, it's a very interesting relationship dynamic because he lost his daughter and his wife. And that is part of why when Trinius shows up, he thinks God is mocking him. Because Elohai is actually another word for God. And so, this being a Christian fantasy, I took inspiration from like Aslan in the Chronicles of Narnia. And so you actually see God, or Udar sees God, and God manifests himself to him, and they have dialogue and they have conversations, like in-person type of thing. And it was a lot of fun to write. So I'm excited for people to see and experience those things with the characters. Do you guys have any questions? Like, I don't want to just be talking and rambling on. Like, if you guys have questions about the characters, about the places, about the book, like, fire away. Like, I would love to answer some questions for you guys. And in case I didn't mention it, the link to pre-order is actually down below. So if you are interested in it, if it's piqued your interest enough and you would like to support me on this journey and stay up to date with everything, because it'll be a little bit more sporadic on YouTube. It'll be more dedicated for the backers, at least the nitty gritty details of a lot of the things. I'll be talking more of a broad sense on YouTube. Then feel free to pre-order. Minimum commitment is like $15, and that gets you the digital copy. And so that's the Allegiance to Thaidu, which in the scope of the different kingdoms, Thaidu is actually the smallest kingdom. So I tried to go by size, whether past, present, or whatever. So that was kind of fun. Okay, so Chris, it's not popping up on this yet. When it does, I'll bring it up. But you asked, are there any particular histories that inspired this book's specific settings? Yes, actually. The kingdoms and the are very Welsh, Scottish, Gaelic, and Irish in origin. For like kind of like the 3/4 of the northern part of the continent. That's kind of what the inspired cultures are kind of meant to reflect. The southern culture, there's actually a lot of like really lush jungle. Maybe not, I don't think jungle is the right term. Very, very big forests, plains, stuff like that. And so the people have a more of like I'm trying to think of probably more along the lines of like Iberian Peninsula, Spain, like if you're thinking of like skin tone and stuff like that, that's kind of more along the lines of kind of the southern cultures. And then no one lives in the desert. It's just inhospitable. No one lives there. And so, yeah, so for a lot of the northern ones, because I'm Irish, at least, you know, DNA speaking, I'm Irish. I'm also like less than 1% Maori. So we'll take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I love Irish culture. I love Scottish, Gaelic, and Welsh. One of the creatures, actually, the Bobon Sea, is it sounds French. It's actually Scottish. It's the Scottish version of the vampire succubus banshee, like kind of like all wrapped up into one. Like this vampire banshee creature, like she's scary. She's straight up scary. You do not mess with Ulcilla. Ulcia. I've been butchering my own name. Ulcia is queen of the banshees, and it's that word is actually the Scottish word for banshee, and slash vampire slash succubus slash don't go out in the woods at night or you meet her, that kind of thing. I also got a ton of creatures on the campaign page. Theoretically, if I actually set up the links correctly, I did. Nailed it. You'll actually see a link to Pinterest, and I actually just got Pinterest. Not because I enjoy it, but because I was recommended to me by the head of the publisher as a way to kind of showcase the world through pictures and stuff like that. So Some of the creatures that you'll see there, I actually created creatures of Wintonaith, I believe that was the board. And I've kind of found some that look similar to what I have in mind and what I write about. I'm pretty sure that I've covered all of them. And you get more details in the actual book. But it kind of gives you an idea. I'm also kind of slowly but surely building the different kingdoms and what they look like. So if you kind of want to stay up to date on and kind of see the world a little bit more and kind of what inspires the kind of look and the feel, that is a place to go and check out is my Pinterest board. I don't think I have a link. But yeah, exactly. Like a mood board for what to expect. Yeah, exactly. So I actually had a lot of fun kind of building that because I got to kind of see my own world a little bit more. So like the realm of the Air Gid, where they're at is kind of more tundra-ish. There's not a lot of high grass. It's very kind of short grass. They live in an area that it's just below the ancient lands, and the ancient lands are mostly frozen. And so they're kind of on the bottom edge of that for the most part. And so, it does snow and it is extremely cold. So you run into that. Ungar is lush, green, rolling hills, mountains, beautiful emerald forests, that kind of stuff. Most of this book takes place actually into the onset of winter, into the kind of the dead of winter. And you'll actually get to see more of those other seasons in the next book. And then Canamore is kind of shorter grasses, kind of a little bit more gray. Then Zephos is plains, just like green plains, just like as far as the eye can see until you hit the Great Southern Forest. And then this thing is just massive, just a huge forested area. So there's a lot there. You'll get to see a lot of that. I'll probably post some teasers of the map, at least of the rough outline or the sketch that I had at some point. That'll probably be on either. I'll try and get it on Instagram. There's no way to post photos on YouTube as far as I'm aware, even though I see people do it. So yeah, that's some of what's kind of inspired some of the other cultures. In some of the later books, we'll have kind of a what's the one that I was thinking of? Kind of a Persian. Another one will be kind of Norse Viking-esque in its feel. The other one will kind of be at least at the point where I did it last time, a lot of things will probably change, but it was kind of like a Romano-Britain style for a lot of those cities. And then there will be dragons. I'm just saying now, and I am promising there will be dragons. It'll be book 2. Wait, no, not book 2. Trilogy 2, but there will be dragons. So there definitely will be dragons. I might hint at it in this one because, like I said, it's all interconnected. It's 12 books, so there will be some play with that. Yeah. You guys have any other questions or anything else that I can answer for you about book publishing process, whatever? Fire away. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm stoked about it. I'm super excited about all of the things that I have planned. I've got a lot planned. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Because my throat's drying out. I ask you guys questions so that way I can take drinks of water. Okay. Well, if you guys have any other questions, or if there's anything popping up, I'm watching the chat as I finish up. So if you guys have any interest in supporting me on the campaign, potentially getting a signed copy of the paperback when it publishes, the price does include the shipping. I don't believe I said that earlier, but it does include the shipping. And same for the one with the map. It includes the shipping and stuff and all that good stuff. So if you love maps, the Allegiance to Ungar is the one that you want to go for. If you're like, I just want a paperback copy, the Allegiance to Canamore is the one. And a great big thank you for all of your guys' support. Just as an AuthorTube community, as people who watch my rants and my madness here on YouTube, I am incredibly grateful to all of you for your support. You're already supporting me, and I appreciate that support. Seriously, it means so much. So if you guys have any other questions later on, please feel free to comment down below. I will be keeping tabs on the comments and trying to hop in and answer as many of those as I possibly can, avoiding spoilers when possible. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. I've appreciated you guys taking the time out of your afternoon to watch. Last thing, I'm actually going to be part of the Evergreen Oasis writing retreat on Sunday, and it'll be Sunday from 2:30 to 4:30 Eastern time. So if you're interested in that and you're on the West Coast, that will be like 11:30 to 1:30, somewhere around there. And I'll be on an editing panel discussing developmental editing, tips for editing, how to look for an editor, how to not get screwed over by an editor. And it'll be with a bunch of other fantastic authors and editors. So I'm so excited about that as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you haven't already, check out the Evergreen Oasis writing retreat. It's going on today, right now, most likely, and it'll be going on through the weekend. So today, Saturday, and Sunday, I will be joining the panel on Sunday. Guys, thank you so much. And I will talk to you guys later and keep you posted. Take care, everybody.